Okay, imagine this. It's Tuesday morning. A hospital in London loses 30% of its nursing staff overnight. That same day, cargo ships carrying food to Europe and North America just stop. Crews walk off, engines go silent. By Wednesday, data centers in Singapore and Frankfurt start overheating. Nobody's there to maintain the cooling systems. Thursday, renewable energy installations across the Middle East and Europe go offline. No technicians to fix them. Friday, digital learning platforms serving 200 million students worldwide crash. No one's monitoring the systems. By Sunday, the global economy is in freefall. What happened? Filipinos stopped showing up to work. That's it, that's the scenario. And here's what nobody told you. It's already true right now. You just didn't notice. Let me show you. Look, for 75 years, the global economy ran on a simple idea. Rich countries have the money and technology. Poor countries provide cheap labor. Everyone stays in their lane. The Philippines was supposed to be part of that system. Send workers abroad, they send money home. Repeat forever. Except somewhere along the way, something changed. Filipinos didn't just fill labor gaps. They became the system itself. And I'm not talking about important, I'm talking about structural. Like if Filipinos stop, the thing collapses. Governments know this, Washington knows it. Beijing knows it, Brussels knows it. They're rewriting strategic plans around it. But somehow, Filipinos don't know it. So let me break it down. 8 industries, let's go. The world's oceans are run by Filipinos. Literally #1 global shipping. You know those container ships that carry everything? Your phone, your car, your coffee, your clothes, 80% of global trade moves by sea. Guess who's steering them? 1 in 4 sailors on the planet is Filipino on officer-level positions, the people actually running these ships. Filipinos make up 30 to 40%, the biggest shipping companies in the world. Maersk, MSC Evergreen, they all depend on Filipino officers. Here's why that matters. The Philippines has the best maritime training in the world, STCW certified English speaking. Decades of institutional knowledge passed down other countries tried to build the same system, they can't match it. The expertise, the work ethic, the adaptability, you can't replicate that in 5 or 10 years. So Filipino seafarers decided to stop tomorrow? Global trade shuts down, food shipments stop, manufacturing supply chains collapse. Energy transport freezes. That's not hypothetical, that's structural dependence. This one's the big one, the $340 billion industry I mentioned. Here it is, #2, healthcare. And this is the big one. Filipino nurses don't just work in hospitals, they keep healthcare systems from collapsing in the US. There are over 150,000 Filipino nurses. In the UK, 30% of NHS nurses are Filipino. In Saudi Arabia and the UAE, it's over 60% during COVID, when healthcare systems were breaking. Who held them together? Filipino nurses working double shifts, ICU, care, ventilator management, the hardest, most skilled positions. Here's the thing, the US is short 200,000 nurses right now. The UK is short 50,000, Canada, Australia, Germany, they're all desperate. The Philippines produces 25,000 to 30,000 registered nurses every year. NCLEX pass rates, the U.S. nursing exam, Filipino nurses score higher than the global average. And with aging populations in rich countries, demand is exploding. By 2030. The U.S. alone will need 500,000 more nurses. If Filipino nurses stopped going abroad, healthcare systems in multiple countries would collapse within weeks. Emergency rooms would close, surgeries would be canceled, ICUs would shut down. That $340 billion figure? That's what collapses if this stops, not just nursing, but the entire healthcare export ecosystem the Philippines built. That's not pride talking, that's math. You ever wonder how your food stays cold from farm to table? Yeah, Filipinos. #3, cold chain food systems. This one most people don't even think about, but it's critical. You know how food gets from a farm to your grocery store without spoiling? Cold chain, refrigerated transport, temperature-controlled warehouses, constant monitoring. Filipinos run huge portions of this system, especially in the Middle East, parts of Asia, and increasingly in Europe. In the UAE alone, 40% of cold chain logistics workers are Filipino, Singapore, Hong Kong, same story. Why Filipinos? Because this work requires technical skill. You're not just moving boxes. You're maintaining refrigeration systems, monitoring temperatures within half-degree tolerances, managing inventory that spoils if you mess up. If the cold chain breaks, food rots, supermarkets run out, prices spike, you get food security crises in cities that depend on imports. The Middle East imports 80% of its food. It survives on cold chain systems, and those systems run on Filipino expertise. Take them out, and you're looking at food shortages in major cities within days. Every time you use Netflix, Gmail, or TikTok, there's probably a Filipino making sure it works. Number 4, data centers and cloud infrastructure. Here's what runs the internet. Data centers, massive buildings full of servers that host everything: Netflix, Google, Amazon, financial systems, AI models, all of it. And guess who's maintaining them? In Singapore, 30 to 40% of Tier 4 data center technicians are Filipino. Hong Kong, Tokyo, Sydney, same pattern. Tier 4 means the highest level. These are facilities that can't go down. Ever, they need 24/7 monitoring, redundant systems, instant problem solving. When you stream a movie, send an email, make a bank transfer, somewhere, a data center is processing that. And there's a good chance a Filipino is making sure it doesn't crash. Data centers are insanely complex. Cooling systems that prevent servers from overheating, power management, network routing. You need people who understand electrical systems, IT infrastructure, and can respond to failures in minutes. Filipinos dominate this space because they have the technical education, the English fluency to work with global teams, and the work ethic to handle 24/7 operations. If Filipino data center techs walked off, cloud services start failing, apps go down, financial transactions freeze, AI systems crash. The digital economy runs on uptime, and Filipinos are the ones keeping it up. The green energy revolution? It's being built by Filipino hands. Number 5, renewable energy. The world is trying to go green, right? Solar, wind, offshore installations. Every country has targets, net zero by 2050, all of that. Who's actually building it? In Europe, 40 to 50% of offshore wind installation crews are Filipino. Middle East solar projects? Same thing. The US is starting to see the same pattern. This is not easy work, offshore wind turbines. You're working hundreds of feet above the ocean, installing massive blades, welding in harsh conditions, technical precision required. Filipinos came into this industry with 2 advantages. 1, maritime expertise. They already know how to work at sea. 2, technical education, engineering backgrounds, electrical systems knowledge. Now every developed country has renewable energy goals. The EU wants 42% renewable by 2030. The US is pushing massive wind and solar projects. But there's a problem: not enough skilled workers. The renewable energy sector is facing massive labor shortages. So who's filling that gap? Filipinos? Because they have the skills, the willingness to do difficult work, and the track record. If Filipino renewable energy workers stopped, projects stalled. Climate targets get missed. The green transition slows down. The world's environmental future is being built by Filipino expertise right now. Online learning exploded during COVID. It's still running because of Filipino educators and tech support. Number 6, digital education infrastructure. COVID forced the world online. Schools, universities, corporate training, everything went digital overnight, and who made it work? Filipino teachers, instructors, platform moderators. Filipino teachers dominate online English education. Platforms like VIP Kid, Cambly, Italki, huge Filipino presence. Not just teaching, content creation, platform moderation, curriculum development. Why? Because Filipinos are native-level English speakers with teaching degrees, and they work for rates that make online education affordable globally. But it's not just ESL, corporate training platforms, professional development, technical education. Filipinos are building and running the systems that train millions of workers worldwide. And on the tech side, Filipinos are maintaining these platforms. Customer support, back-end operations, making sure the systems don't crash when millions of students log on. This matters because online education gives access to kids in remote areas, adults changing careers, people who can't afford traditional university. Take Filipino educators and support staff out of this system. Platforms struggle, quality drops, access shrinks. The democratization of education runs on Filipino expertise. Filipinos don't just use remittances, they basically invented the modern system. Number 7. Remittance and fintech systems. This one's interesting because Filipinos are both users and builders of this industry. Filipinos send home $36 billion every year. That's 10% of the country's entire GDP. It's one of the largest remittance flows in the world. So, Filipinos pushed the industry to innovate. Western Union was slow and expensive, so Filipino engineers and entrepreneurs built better systems. Now look at the fintech space. GCash HPMaya. These are mobile-first payment systems that handle billions in transactions. But it's not just Philippine companies. Filipinos work at remittance and fintech companies worldwide. Wise, PayPal, Remitly, major presence in development, operations, customer support. Why does this matter? Because remittance and fintech systems give financial access to people who don't have bank accounts. Migrant workers, families in rural areas, small businesses. Globally, migrants send home over $700 billion annually. That's bigger than all foreign aid combined. And Filipinos are at the center of building and running those systems. If the systems Filipinos built and maintained disappeared, millions of families lose access to money, small businesses shut down, financial inclusion collapses. This is economic infrastructure and Filipinos built it. Every time you call customer service, there's a decent chance you're talking to someone in Manila. Number 8, business or process outsourcing. Okay, this one everyone kind of knows about. Call centers, customer service, back office operations. But here's the scale. The Philippine BPO industry is worth $29 billion. It employs 1.3 million people. And the Philippines is the #1 destination for voice-based outsourcing in the world. But it's not just answering phones anymore. Data analytics, content moderation for social media, financial back-office operations, HR services, legal process outsourcing. Every major company uses Philippine BPO services. Banks, tech companies, healthcare providers, retailers, government agencies. Why Philippines? English fluency, cultural adaptability. Filipinos understand Western culture through decades of media exposure and education, high college graduation rates, strong communication skills. During COVID, when offices worldwide shut down, Philippine BPO centers kept running. Companies would have collapsed without that support. This industry is massive for the Philippine economy. It's why Manila has become a major business hub. It's lifted millions into the middle class. But here's the thing. Companies aren't just using BPO for cost savings anymore. They're operationally dependent on it, their finance teams, their customer support, their data processing. It's all outsourced. If the Philippine BPO industry shut down, global companies lose operational capacity immediately. Customer service collapses, back office functions freeze, data processing stops. This isn't cheap labor anymore. This is critical infrastructure for global business. So now you know. 8 industries, all critical, all dependent on Filipinos. But here's the question nobody's asking. Okay, so now you know. 8 industries: shipping, healthcare, cold chain food, data centers, renewable energy, digital education, fintech, BPO, all of them critical, all of them dependent on Filipino workers. Not just participants, not just contributors, structural pillars, but here's what I want you to understand. This didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen overnight. This is the result of 70 years of Filipinos going abroad, learning systems, mastering skills, building reputations, becoming indispensable. And somewhere along the way, cheap labor became irreplaceable expertise. Governments are noticing. Washington's worried about healthcare worker shortages. Beijing's tracking maritime crew demographics. Brussels is watching renewable energy labor flow. They're realizing they built their economies on a workforce they don't control, and that workforce comes from one country. That's leverage, not military leverage, economic leverage. The Philippines has something every major economy needs, and they can't replace it quickly. Because here's the thing about expertise, it takes time. You can't train 400,000 seafarers in 5 years. You can't produce 150,000 skilled nurses overnight. You can't build institutional knowledge that took decades to develop. Other countries tried. India tried to compete in nursing, couldn't match the quality and cultural fit. China tried in maritime, couldn't replicate the training standards. Eastern Europe tried in BPO, couldn't match the English fluency and service culture. The Philippines built something unique, and now the world depends on it. 8 critical industries, all dependent on Filipinos, all essential to the global economy. The Philippines isn't a poor country exporting cheap labor anymore. It's a skill superpower that the world can't replace. Now the question is, what do you do with that? Do you recognize it? Do you leverage it? Do you protect it? Because the world already knows it depends on you. The question is, do you?